John had been sitting in his armchair for hours, staring at the empty whiskey bottle on the coffee table in front of him. His wife, Grace, had been nagging him all day, criticizing his every move and making him feel like a failure. He tried to ignore her, but a constant barrage of insults was wearing him down. You're useless, John. I can't believe I left my entire life to be with someone like you, his wife spat, her eyes filled with disdain. You said it would be better. We would be better once we got married. But we're just as bad, if not worse, than when we want. John stared blankly at his wife. Well, you didn't grow any prettier either now, did you? He thought to himself. I should have said that. Why didn't I say that? He mumbled in his drunken stupor. What was that? Speak up, she retorted. And of course, bloody nothing. This is why we're in this mess. You never say a word, never demand anything from anyone other than me. You know what you are, John? A spineless weasel. When it comes to dealing with confrontation, you just up and run away. And then you take out that frustration on me, she said. I'm not spineless, John mumbled drunkenly. What was that? I should have just married George. He has a successful business now. His wife prances around wearing this pearl necklace he got for her. While you, she looked at him spitefully. John was now trembling with rage. You can't even get yours up enough to speak properly with your wife. What the hell were you mumbling? She shouted. I said I'm not a spineless weasel. John had had enough. In his rage, he grabbed Grace by the throat and dragged her across the room to the window. John, what are you doing? Grace asked weakly. What I should have done a long time ago, John replied, lifting her and throwing her out the window. Grace crashed through the glass of the greenhouse and into the magnolia bushes. What did I do? Said John, staring at the lifeless body of his wife. The panic clear in his voice. He rushed downstairs to see if by some chance his wife was still alive. When he reached her, he saw her mangled body and bent down to check. She wasn't breathing. I killed her, John said in disbelief. I killed her! And again with a slight hint of amusement. I need to get rid of the body. So John dragged her out and put her in the trunk of the car. He took her to a nearby forest where he dug up a big enough hole that wouldn't be discovered and buried her in it. He covered the site with some leaves so as to make it unnoticeable and drove back. The next day, he would call the police station and report his wife missing, telling them that she had stormed out after an argument had occurred. He hadn't forgotten about the greenhouse and he threw plenty of flower pots down on it. The police bought his story that his wife threw them at him, given the fact that he did have a scar on his forehead. They didn't need to know that he had done that himself. The police gave up the search after a few weeks and told him that they had sent her image to all the police stations and now could only wait to hear back from them. And this brought a huge sense of relief to him. He was almost scot-free. He decided to celebrate by drinking on his own. However, his friends, unknowing of his actions, thought that this would have been severely painful for John. They decided to treat him out to cheer up his mood. His friends called John at 8, and they all decided that they would meet up at the local bar for drinks and snacks. After a few drinks, John decided that they should all do a group karaoke, which his friends obliged, although they were all terrible singers. John's happiness just seemed to increase throughout the night, which was odd for a man who had just lost the love of his life, thought his friends. But they figured it was worth it as long as he could forget his troubles for one night. They stayed till the last call and then decided that it was time to call it a night and head home. They offered John a ride back, but he refused. Go on, I'm fine. I've driven in much worse conditions, he said laughingly. They obliged him, but only because he was seeming a little off and scary tonight. All right, John, you drive safe, yeah? Give us a call when you reach. Will do, John said, backing up and turning onto the road. He sped off. Life is good. The nagging wretch is no more. I'm drunk and life is full of opportunities, John thought while pressing on the accelerator. Now coming close to 120 miles per hour on a 40 miles per hour stretch. Nothing's gonna come in my... John trailed off as his heart started racing. His wife, covered in bruises, was standing in the middle of the road. It can't be! You're dead! He screamed while swerving to hit her. But just as he was about to, she vanished and in a place to a tree. John tried to push on the brakes, but he was too late. His car crashed into the tree, causing the car to get mangled up. He was pressed against the airbags that had deployed, but his legs were injured. He pushed back. At least he was alive. He turned to his right to see his dead wife sitting beside him. He yelled out and opened the car door and fell out, trying to get away from her, but she was gone. Did I dream of her? No sooner had he said this than he felt two cold hands grip his legs. You'll pay for this, shrieked Grace's ghost as she pulled him into the depths of the magnolia fields that stretched for miles behind the tree.